Well, ED is right. There will be a lot of things that I think Antonio Brown will regret one day. I don't even know if this is probably in the top 10 of what he will regret, Skip. I just wish AB would have said, you know what, instead of probably. Normally, when you're going to issue an apology, you don't say this is something I probably shouldn't have said, or this is something I probably shouldn't have done. This is something that I shouldn't have said. This is something I shouldn't have done, and I want to take time not to apologize for it. But the fact of the matter is, Skip, I don't think AB will probably regret this until it comes to the Hall of Fame. When he has to wait, when he should be a no-brainer, first ballot Hall of Famer, looking at his resume, looking at his body of work. He was a preeminent player. He's an all-decade player of the 2010s. He looks back, and that first ballot comes out, and he didn't get in, and maybe the second, third, or fourth ballot comes out, and he's not in. Then he'll start to look back and say, you know what? I shouldn't have done some of the things. Maybe if all of a sudden, financially, Skip, and I'm well off financially, but I look back at some of the purchases I made. I didn't lose money because of my behavior. I look back, I'm like, how big a fool was I buying a $250,000 car making $325,000? That probably wasn't wise.
And what car was that?
I brought a Ferrari 512 TR. The black one that Michael Jordan had in The Last Dance.
I know it.
I had that exact car.
And you were at what stage of your career?
I was in the beginning. I had just, that was in 1993, Skip. I was making a grand whopping total of $325,000.
And it was your what year in professional football?
90, so that was my fourth year.
Fourth year, I got it.
I got it at the end of 93, but I felt good. I was like, okay.
Was it worth it?
Nah, it wasn't worth it, Skip. I got the flaws. I got the flaws. They love you, boy, in the A. I was looking like Batman coming down the street. But anyway, Skip, back to AB. I just think the thing is, Skip, yes, he's going to look back. And it's Skip, you don't really start to... AB is a guy, Skip, that he becomes reflective instead of introspective. See, if you're introspective, a lot of times it will keep you from being reflective because you self-evaluate yourself and says, okay, I've done something here. Let me self-reflect introspectively and say, you know what, make sure that doesn't happen again. He should have done that when he left Pittsburgh. But he didn't do it because there was no one to hold him accountable for the wrong that he did. And so he went to Oakland, did the exact same thing, went to New England, did some of the same things, went to Tampa, and the very thing that started off and all that started to snowball this in Pittsburgh, he did the exact same thing again because he was never introspective, always said, well, I shouldn't have handled this situation, should have done it like that. So for me, I agree with ED. We've all done some things. But I think the biggest thing is, Skip, that when you make a mistake, you do everything you possibly can, at least a wise, a prudent, rational person does, to not make the exact same mistake again. Skip, if AB had not behaved in this manner that we saw in Tampa, if he had never done that before, we could say that was an isolated, that was a one-off. You know what? I'd be okay. You know what, AB? Okay, everybody has a bad day at work. Normally, hopefully, it doesn't get that bad. You brush it off. But because it's a reoccurring theme there's a pattern of over 5-6 years, how do you just brush it off and skip and say it's an isolated incident? But our guy ED is absolutely right. He will look back at it, but I'm afraid, Skip, it's going to be not because it's going to harm him. Because, like I said, AB should be a first ballot Hall of Fame. Of all the things that he's done, Skip, I cannot deny what he's been able to do on the field.
But you know and I know he will not be a first ballot.
He will not. It's already very hard for receivers to get in on the first ballot. I'm afraid, unfortunately, AB is going to have to wait. And he shouldn't.
Our man Terrell Owens, it required 3 times, and he had 0 off the field. They were on the field clashing and confrontations and whatnot.
Chris Carter had to wait, I think, 5 times. Tim Brown had to wait 4 or 5 times.
Shannon Sharpe had to wait
3 times.
3 times. I believe that this was significant yesterday, even via a quick TMZ stop him on the street going into the restaurant kind of interview. For AB to go so far as to actually sound apologetic, it wasn't an apology, but it was apologetic to say, to your point, it probably wasn't necessary or professional, meaning to take everything off and throw it in the stands. And
what about the peace sign, Skip?
And the peace out,
What about the jumping jacks?
Jumping jacks on an ankle that allegedly requires major surgery, according to AB and his agent/lawyer. Okay, I do think that agent/lawyer and maybe other new advisors around him have been saying, hey, maybe you should back off this just a little bit because you do want to play next year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I do. I want to make a little more money next year. And I think in AB's delusional world, he probably thinks that he'll get an Oakland Raiders kind of deal out there.
Those
what was it, $30 million or whatever?
Well, it was 3 years for $50 million.
50,
with 30 guaranteed
30
over the first 2 years. Yes.
Do you really believe that deal's out there? Because
no.
I don't. And I will bet you that AB, as he approaches age 34 in July, I believe he believes that's out there.
No.
And I don't know how bad his ankle is. He continues to talk about, I did it on half an ankle. I did all that. Well, if he's right, if he's not exaggerating that, that could rob him of a little more quickness. He just had a knee surgery coming into this past year, and I didn't think he looked quite as explosive as he used to. Well, who does going on 34 years of age? Next year would be his 13th year in this league.
Right.
13th year? Mm-hmm. What receiver gets better in year 13? Well, seriously. So he's at least at the beginning of the end, if not near the end.
Hey, Skip, you know, as players start to get older, they're looking to cut salary. They're not looking to increase your salary as you get older. They're looking to decrease your salary.
Right. I love our man, Eric Dickerson. I still believe he's the greatest running back ever. We've had him on the show a lot, and he speaks from a position of wisdom to me, as do you. You remind me of each other. You've been through it. You know how the game is played on and off the field.
We're closer in age than AB and myself. So we had, and the way we were raised, he being in Texas, me being from Georgia, we were raised a lot alike.
Yeah, and by the way, just a quick plug, if I might, he's got a new book coming out, Eric does, called Watch My Smoke. I have read it. I endorse it. It's very good. It's really from the heart and from the gut, because it gets deep about what really goes on in professional football.
Right.
And he got deep in this interview with our man Jarrett Bell at USA Today about how injuries work, how they're going to push you, if not force you to, you got to go, you got to play.
Yes.
It's a big business of play through the pain, right?
Yes.
You lived with it your whole life.
The more money you make, Skip, the more expected of you, the more they're expecting you. And like I said, Skip, and like I said, whether it's forced or it's, you know, your teammates, hey, you gonna be there Sunday, right? Hey, that's your team that you normally give them the business.
Yeah.
Might come down to the locker room. Hey, 84, you ready to go?
Yeah.
You know, hey, don't worry about this week of practice, but I know we count on you. We got these plays for you.
So back in his day, Eric said he came to hate the Rams, not the team as in teammates. He hated the front office because they were at odds, and he was. Listen, he had a playoff game against my Cowboys when they were the Anaheim Rams.
It might be still, I think it's still the record, isn't it? 248?
Yeah, 248. I've never seen it. I was there. I was in the front row of that press box, and I still haven't recovered from it because they couldn't get a hand on him. Ran upright, kind of
straight back, right
you know, with his head up, his chin up. It was like Regal running, right?
Eric the Ram.
Whoo, was he? And yet he battled with them until finally they traded him to Indianapolis. Okay, so that's what goes on. And so what AB clashing with BA and the organization is nothing. It's just par for the course. Business as usual, right?
Yes.
Okay, so to me, Eric's point about this will follow him the rest of his life, I agree with that. In fact, I think it will haunt him the rest of his life, although right now AB thinks it's his claim to fame. And I believe it becomes more of a claim to infamy. And they say that NFT, which is way over my head, but they say the value of it is already $1.5 million. I would think it's like $5 million because we've never seen that before. Eric had never seen it. Shannon had never seen it. You're in the Hall of Fame. You came in here the next day on Monday and you said, I've never seen that before. He exited while taking everything off and going.
Not mid-game.
Yeah, mid-game where he went bare top. He's shirtless.
Right.
He's throwing his gloves into the stands. He's throwing everything. And then it's a big, almost a celebration exit. Jumping jacks and skipping and peace out. Like, that's the end of you. And as he said the next day, I don't want to be associated with that brand anymore after what you did to me.
Right. Well, the Tampa brand, the NFL brand, I mean, what brand does
he think he meant the Tampa brand.
Yeah.
But the point was, he bit the hands that had fed him the best because Tom Brady was his angel. Tom Brady loved him the way nobody's ever loved him, and supported him and defended him and protected him. And I believe B.A. kind of went along with it, even though his initial response was he doesn't fit in our locker room because I had him when he was a rookie, and I know him, and I know what he is and what he's not. He doesn't fit in our locker room. But still, they supported him. They gave him his 7th, 8th, and 9th chances. Even after a fake vaccination card, they brought him back after a 3-game suspension and said, here, we hand you back the keys to our kingdom. You're it because we don't have Chris Godwin. And Tom said, I'm not going to just throw you 5 passes. I'm going to throw you 15 passes against Carolina. 15 passes at Carolina, caught 10 for $101. Way to go. It's yours. And as you always say, once you show him and tell him, you are it. We need you because you're our savior. Better be careful. And here it went. And the next week, his agent asked for guarantee all the money that's in incentives. Give me $2 million.
You know what's going to happen, Skip?
No, we're not going to do that.
I was going to shut it down on you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play the rest of the regular season because I got my incentive, Skip. So there's no incentive for me to play because you've already compensated me. So what I'm going to do, and Skip, if you read the message that B.A. sent him, say, hey, ain't no resting for this playoff bull.
Yeah.
We're playing. So AB was like, nah, I'm going to be good. Let me go on and get this incentive. I shut this thing down. I'm going to get 100%. Nobody is really 100% at this stage, Skip. Everybody is banged up. Everybody is nicked up. And then once AB saw that he couldn't get that, though, he couldn't get the guarantees, okay, I'm going to go out there and play. Now, I'm playing, Skip, but I ain't getting the targets that you just gave me last week. Because remember, I had 9 for 7 catches at the half against Carolina the week before. Now I only got 5 for 3 catches. So y'all shortened me. And Gronk he actually just got 1 more target. 1 more target. Skip. And as I told you, AB saying on the bench to Tom, oh, so Gronk's now your boy again, huh? Yeah. Skip, well, he's only the GOAT tight end, you know. Skip, you had another half and an entire game. It's not like Gronk got all his incentives that game. Gronk still it was late in the ball game when B.A. said, Tom, you're out. Tom said, bull jive. Gronk said, I need 1 catch to get that milli. Tom went in for 1 play. Gronk went in for 1 play. They got that 1 catch. They exited stage left. AB, if you 3 catch, I want to know who thinks that if AB is 3 catches away from getting $1 million, who doesn't think Tom Brady isn't going to force feed him? I don't care, Skip, if he catches 3 routes for 3 total yards. He's going to get the money because Tom just did it for him last year. He did, and he would have. Yes. He loved him. Burned that bridge. So now we're back to social media, victim, AB listening to his followers, as you point out, take him down, stand up to the man, take him down. So he stood up to Mike Tomlin. He took him down in Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden he was down and he was out. And then he stood up to and he took down Robert Kraft. He took a shot at him on Twitter, right? And he was out. Right. And then he stood up to John Gruden and Mike Mayock, called him a saltine, took him down. Internet said, go, AB, go. Yeah. And he went right out the door, right? And then he even stood up to Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. and Bruce Arians and the GM and everybody else in the organization, and he took them down. He gave them a peace out meltdown, and the internet said, go, AB, go, and he went. I'm to the point, you disagree, but I'm still to the point where the more I think about this, the more I hear the Hall of Famers talk about this, I just think this is going to resonate through boardrooms across this league, and he's not going to get another opportunity. I think the league is saying more trouble than you're worth at age 34 coming off maybe ankle surgery. But Skip, he's been that. But he's immensely talented. But you know, and I know, the league at some point just says no. Yeah. That's enough. But they need to see decline. If they see decline, now, if what you're saying is true, that you don't think he's as explosive as he once was, if they start to see that, then you're right. But they saw the Dallas Cowboys game. They saw the Miami Dolphins game. They saw the Carolina Panthers game. And they're saying to themselves, that doesn't look like decline to me. Okay, but they also saw Brady and company go to Drew Brees in the playoffs last year and win without AB. Of course. And go to Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau and win without AB. Skip, they won a lot of games without AB. They didn't need him, But I think Tom, as a courtesy, that was Tom, like, man, I like AB. I like how hard he works. Everybody talks about how hard Tom works in practice. Everybody that I've heard talk from coaches say they've never seen a player throw as much as Tom does in practice.
Yep.
That's why he hasn't had arm troubles. Most quarterbacks are not throwing as much as Tom. Tom likes guys that work hard. Even if you started, you heard Skip, guys lallygag, and Tom gets upset. Remember this year, they had it in the paper. He was upset because he didn't feel the guys were working in the 2-minute drill. The defense was kicking his butt. So he felt they weren't working the way they needed to. Okay, so Tom is a worker. From all indications, everything I heard about AB works extremely hard in practice.
And so, Eric Dickerson brought that up also. That's his reputation is he gives you all he's got in practice.
Right.
Okay, that's redeeming value.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. What are you going to remember about AB? Are you going to remember all the 100-catch seasons, all the 1,500-yard seasons, all the 11-touchdown seasons? What are you going to remember? And think about it. Even as great as T.O. is, I believe T.O. is the for me, I got T.O. number 2. A lot of people have Randy number 2. Some people have Randy number 1. I think Jerry's the greatest. But T.O. for me, is a top 3 receiver.
I know. I got it.
And what do they remember? They remember the antics. They remember T.O. dancing on the sideline. They remember the Sharpies. People don't even remember just how dominant he was.
Okay, but is that worth it to Terrell at the moment to get that much publicity and shine out of it? Because he became a celebrity of a star. He came from nowhere. Right. He was a quiet kid from, as you know, what was it, UT Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Third-round pick, but had to play in literally Jerry Rice's literal shadow, right? To start off with.
And J.J. Stokes.
And J.J. Stokes. And all of a sudden, once he started going pom-poms and Sharpies and dancing on the star, or at least celebrating on the star, you know what happened? He exploded into, he became a household name.
He did, Skip, but it's hurt him in other aspects, especially now, because they just see that guy. People, when he tried to do business, he tried to get in the doors. People see him as a disruptor. They see him as someone, well, we read about this, we heard about this. So it's hurt him in other aspects. And that's what with AB. Skip, my name is good in Denver. My name is good in Baltimore. So, I mean, I've had several times, the Broncos, when Mr. B was alive, reached out and asked me, did I want a role, something with the Broncos? Nah, Mr. B, I'm good. People in the business, I'm good. AB could have.
Is anybody going to reach out to AB? Want to be an ambassador for the Patriots?
Skip, no. What about businesses in Pittsburgh? What? Jerry's still doing stuff in San Francisco. Jerry ain't played in San Francisco in 20 years.
But that's okay.
Thank you.
He earned it.
Skip, that's what I try to get guys to understand. Once you become a great football player in a town, all you got to do is keep your nose clean, and you got $150, $200, $250,000 a year. Just by shaking hands, going to doing keynotes. AB could have had that right there in Pittsburgh. Look at all the guys in Pittsburgh. Mel Blount, Franco Harris, Lynn Swann, John Starber. All those guys go back and are royalty in Pittsburgh. AB could have been that. AB could have been that. And one more thing before I turn it over to you, Skip. Everybody keep asking me, say, well, Shannon, you keep bringing up AB and you speaking ill about the brother man. How did AB treat Mike Tomlin? You would think.
It's a good question.
You would think there ain't very many black head coaches. I'm gonna be on my
we just went one fewer, actually. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be on my best behavior. But you best believe I'm gonna do right by him because I know that the likelihood if he gets right, he might not get another opportunity like the other guys. So I'm gonna be on my best behavior. When are y'all gonna hold AB accountable for trying to bring another black man down? Oh, y'all not gonna do that. Y'all just gonna talk about Shannon talking about his behavior, but you're not gonna talk about AB's behavior in relationship and what it could have caused Mike Tomlin. Take it away.
I appreciate what you just said. Much deep truth to what you just said, because that was the genesis of all this was with Mike Tomlin. Okay, so my question to AB is, in the end, is it more important to you to be a celebrity or a Hall of Famer? Because they're two very different things.
Thank you.
You can have some celebrity and become a Hall of Famer, but you can't become a celebrity and a Hall of Famer, because the voters will not stand for it. They will not endorse you. They will not accept you.
Because most of those guys, Skip, they're old school.
They are.
The way they believe there's a right and a wrong way to handle every situation, and they don't necessarily always agree that the organization is right, but they do believe that there's a right and a wrong way to handle every situation. And I can assure you, of all the voters, when they get in that room, there's not one that's going to say the way he handled that situation was right.
No.
Not one.
I mean, no new school voter would think that.
I know a lot of the Jared Bells, the Peter Kings, and all. I know a lot of the guys that vote. The
bingo.
Yeah,
yes.
I know a lot of the guys that vote, Skip. And I know how they think, because you got to realize a lot of those guys cover me. I talk to them on the record, off the record, about a lot of different things. So I have a pretty good idea of how they think.
Yep.
And that's not going to get it done.
Okay. Well, by the way, speaking of our man, Jared Bell, good friend of mine, came up in the business with him early in Dallas. Jared Bell is as respected an African-American columnist writing about pro football as there is in this land. He wrote immediately the Monday after the meltdown at Jets.
Yeah.
He wrote immediately, that's it for AB in the NFL. He's done.
Right.
Again, you still think somebody, production tolerance, will say, well, there's still enough production. We'll give it a shot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. But speaking of that, he's an old school Hall of Fame voter, and he just said D-O-N-E, done. And I'm leaning to Jarrett.
Sometimes I just wish I could just sit down and just wish the NFL would let me come and talk to the guys that's coming into the NFL and do how to approach it.
I'll buy that.
Because I still believe, Skip, there's a right and a wrong way to handle every situation. But AB should be able to make $250,000 just in Pittsburgh alone. That's how good he was.
I think you're low on that.
But I'm just saying, Skip.
Right, I know, as starters.
Yes.
Yeah, right, I agree.
That kind of ability for what he was.
No, we've given him a lot of chances, and I think all along we've always said we want him to be well and hopefully healthy, guys. But at this point, he's going to keep talking, and that is the latest, whether or not a team gives him another shot.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.